Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Better You in English. I want to start by asking you a question. Have you ever been in a situation where you wanted to speak English, but you couldn't? You knew what you wanted to say in your language, but the English words just wouldn't come out? Maybe you were in a meeting with foreign colleagues. Maybe you were traveling abroad. Maybe you were watching a movie and wanted to comment, but you stayed silent instead. Have you ever felt your heart beating faster when someone speaks to you in English? Have you ever felt your face getting hot? Have you ever felt completely frozen, unable to say even simple words? If you answered yes to any of these questions, you're not alone. Millions of English learners feel exactly the same way. I felt the same way. I know this feeling very well. This is very important. Today, we're going to talk about confidence. We're going to talk about how to become confident in English. And we're going to talk about how this confidence can change your entire life. Let me say this again. Confidence in English is not just about language. It's about who you become. It's about how you see yourself. It's about what you believe is possible. Today's video is different. I'm not going to teach you grammar. I'm not going to teach you vocabulary. Instead, I'm going to help you understand why you lack confidence, and more importantly, how to build it. This might be the most important video you watch about learning English. Because skills without confidence are useless. You can know all the words and all the grammar, but if you're too afraid to speak, what's the point? So let's begin. Let's talk about confidence. Let's talk about fear. Let's talk about change. Part 1: Why we feel not confident. First, let's understand why we lack confidence when speaking English. Let's understand the real reasons behind our fear. Reason 1: Fear of making mistakes. This is the biggest reason. Most English learners are terrified of making mistakes. They think, what if I say the wrong word? What if my grammar is incorrect? What if people laugh at me? Let me say this again. The fear of making mistakes stops more people from speaking than anything else. But here's the truth: everyone makes mistakes. Native speakers make mistakes. Advanced learners make mistakes. Even English teachers make mistakes. Mistakes are completely normal. But somehow, we believe we need to be perfect. We believe every sentence must be grammatically correct. We believe every word must be pronounced perfectly. This is impossible. This creates massive pressure. Let me share a personal story. When I first started speaking English, I was terrified. I remember being in a coffee shop in America. The barista asked me, "What can I get for you?" I knew what I wanted. I had practiced the sentence in my head. But when I opened my mouth, nothing came out. I just pointed at the menu and nodded. I felt so embarrassed. This is very important. That embarrassment wasn't about my English. It was about my expectation of perfection. I expected myself to speak like a native speaker immediately. That was unrealistic. Reason 2: Comparing ourselves to others. The second reason we lack confidence is comparison. We compare our English to native speakers. We compare our English to advanced learners. We always feel we're not good enough. You watch movies and think, "I'll never speak like that." You listen to podcasts and think, "I'll never understand that fast." You see other learners and think, "They're so much better than me." This comparison kills your confidence. It makes you focus on what you lack instead of what you have. It makes you feel inadequate all the time. Let me say this again. Comparing yourself to others is a trap. It's a game you can never win. Reason 3: Perfectionism. Many English learners are perfectionists. They want every sentence to be perfect before they speak. They want to know every word before they try to communicate. They want to eliminate all accent before they open their mouth. This perfectionism creates paralysis. You wait for the perfect moment to speak, but that moment never comes. You wait to feel completely ready, but you never feel ready. I've met students who studied English for 10 years but still won't speak. They say, "I'm not ready yet. I need to study more." My English isn't good enough. This is perfectionism talking. This is fear disguised as preparation. This is very important. Perfectionism isn't about being excellent. It's about being afraid. It's about avoiding the discomfort of trying. Reason 4: Past negative experiences. Many people had bad experiences when learning English. Maybe a teacher corrected them harshly. Maybe classmates laughed at their pronunciation. Maybe someone made fun of their accent. These experiences create emotional scars. Every time you try to speak English now, you remember that painful moment. Your brain says, "This is dangerous. Stay quiet. Don't risk it." One of my students told me about her English teacher in high school. Every time she made a mistake, the teacher would publicly criticize her. The whole class would hear. She developed such fear that even 20 years later, she feels anxious speaking English. Let me say this again. Past experiences shape our present confidence. But they don't have to control our future. Reason 5: Unrealistic standards. Finally, many learners have unrealistic standards for themselves. They think they should sound like native speakers. They think they should understand every word in every conversation. They think they should never struggle to find words. These standards are impossibly high. Even people who speak English as a second language fluently still make mistakes. They still have accents. They still sometimes struggle with words. But we ignore this reality. We create impossible standards, then feel bad when we can't meet them. This is very important. Your goal isn't to be perfect. Your goal is to communicate. Your goal is to express your ideas. Your goal is to connect with others. Now that we understand why we lack confidence, let's talk about what confidence really is. Part 2: The truth about confidence. Let's talk about what confidence really means. Let's clear up some common misunderstandings. Misunderstanding 1: Confidence means never feeling scared. Many people think confident people never feel afraid. This is completely wrong. Confident people feel scared all the time. The difference is they act anyway. Let me say this again. Confidence isn't the absence of fear. Confidence is action despite fear. When you see someone speaking English confidently, you might think they're not nervous at all. But often, they are nervous. They just don't let the nervousness stop them. I still feel nervous before speaking English in important situations. Before presentations, before meetings, before interviews. But I speak anyway. That's confidence. This is very important. You don't need to eliminate fear to be confident. You just need to act despite the fear. Misunderstanding 2: Confidence comes from being perfect. Some people believe, when my English is perfect, then I'll be confident. This is backwards thinking. Confidence doesn't come from perfection. Confidence comes from action. You become confident by speaking, not by waiting until you're perfect. Think about learning to ride a bicycle. Did you wait until you could ride perfectly before getting on the bike? No. You got on, fell down, got up, tried again. With each attempt, you got more confident. English is the same. You become confident by speaking, making mistakes, learning, and speaking again. It's a process. It's not a destination. Let me say this again. Confidence is built through action, not preparation. You can't think your way to confidence. You must do your way to confidence. Misunderstanding 3: Other people's opinions define your confidence. Many learners think, if people approve of my English, then I'll be confident. This gives all your power away. Real confidence comes from within. It comes from accepting yourself, including your imperfections. It comes from valuing communication over impression. When you base your confidence on others' opinions, you're always vulnerable. One negative comment can destroy you. One critical look can silence you. But when your confidence comes from within, you're stable. You can hear feedback without being destroyed. You can make mistakes without falling apart. This is very important. Don't give others the power to determine your worth. You are valuable regardless of how well you speak English. The real definition of confidence. So what is real confidence? Let me tell you. Confidence is knowing you'll be okay even if you make mistakes. Confidence is trying even when you might fail. Confidence is valuing progress over perfection. Confidence is being kind to yourself when you struggle. Let me say this again. Confidence is self-compassion plus courage. It's accepting yourself and taking action anyway. You don't need perfect English to be confident. You need self-acceptance and willingness to try. Now let's talk about practical steps to build this confidence. Part 3: Practical Steps for English Confidence. Now I'm going to give you concrete, practical steps to build confidence in English. These are strategies that actually work. These are methods I've used and taught successfully. Step 1: Start with small wins. Don't try to speak perfectly in big situations immediately. That's too overwhelming. Instead, start small. Begin with simple, low-pressure situations. Order coffee in English. Ask for directions. Make small talk with a cashier. These small interactions build confidence gradually. This is very important. Small wins create momentum. Each small success gives you courage for bigger challenges. I remember when I started building confidence. I would go to a coffee shop every morning and practice ordering in English. Just a simple interaction. Hi, can I get a medium coffee with milk, please? That's all. At first, I was nervous even for this. But after doing it every day for a week, it became easy. This small win gave me confidence to try more. Let me say this again. Start small, win small, build confidence gradually. Here's what you can do today. Choose one small, simple English interaction to practice this week. Do it repeatedly until it feels comfortable. Then add another small challenge. Step 2: Prepare your core phrases. Confidence comes from preparation. When you know what to say in common situations, you feel more confident. Create a collection of core phrases for situations you encounter regularly. Phrases for greetings, introductions, asking questions, expressing opinions, and handling mistakes. For example, if you often need to introduce yourself, prepare and practice. Hi, my name is name. I'm from country. I work in field. Nice to meet you. If you're afraid of not understanding something, prepare. I'm sorry, could you repeat that? Could you speak a bit slower? I didn't catch that. Could you say it again? This is very important. Having these prepared phrases reduces anxiety. You know you have something to say even if you get nervous. Step 3: Practice self-compassion. This might be the most important step. Be kind to yourself when you make mistakes. Most English learners are incredibly harsh on themselves. They make one mistake and think, I'm so stupid. I'll never learn English. I'm terrible at this. This negative self-talk destroys confidence. It makes you afraid to try. It creates a cycle of fear and avoidance. Instead, practice talking to yourself like you'd talk to a good friend. If a friend made a mistake, would you say, "You're so stupid"? No, you'd say, "It's okay, everyone makes mistakes. You're learning. You'll do better next time." Let me say this again. Treat yourself with the same kindness you'd show a friend. This builds confidence. When you make a mistake, try saying to yourself, "That's okay, mistakes are part of learning. I'm proud of myself for trying. Next time, I'll know better." This is very important. Your relationship with yourself affects your confidence more than anything else. Step 4: Focus on communication, not perfection. Shift your focus from being perfect to being understood. Your goal in speaking English is to communicate your ideas, not to impress people with perfect grammar. Think about it. Would you rather say nothing perfectly, or express your idea with a few mistakes? Obviously, expressing your idea is better. Native speakers understand this. They care about your message, not your grammar. They want to understand you, not judge you. Let me say this again. Communication is the goal, not perfection. Here's a powerful mindset shift before speaking. Instead of thinking, I hope I don't make mistakes, think, I hope I communicate my idea clearly. This small change in focus reduces pressure dramatically. Step 5. Celebrate every attempt. Most people only celebrate success. Confident people celebrate attempts. Every time you try to speak English, you win. Even if you make mistakes. Even if you don't say it perfectly. The fact that you tried is worth celebrating. I teach my students to keep a wins journal. Every day, write down one thing you did in English. Maybe you understood a sentence in a movie. Maybe you spoke one sentence to someone. Maybe you learned a new word. These small celebrations build confidence. They train your brain to see progress instead of focusing on shortcomings. This is very important. What you celebrate grows. If you celebrate attempts, you'll make more attempts. If you only celebrate perfection, you'll rarely feel good about yourself. Step 6. Use the 3-second rule. Here's a powerful technique when you have an opportunity to speak English. Count to 3 and then speak. Don't overthink. Don't hesitate. Just count 1, 2, 3, speak. Overthinking kills confidence. When you think too much, you imagine all the things that could go wrong. You talk yourself out of speaking. But when you count to 3 and speak, you act before fear takes over. Let me say this again. Confidence is about action. The 3-second rule creates action before fear paralyzes you. Try this in your next English conversation. When you want to say something, don't wait for perfect words. Count to 3 and start speaking. You'll figure out the words as you go. Step 7. Reframe mistakes as learning. Every mistake is valuable data. Every error teaches you something. When you reframe mistakes as learning opportunities, they stop being scary. When you make a mistake, instead of thinking, oh no, I messed up, think, interesting, now I know what to work on. This is very important. People who reframe mistakes as learning grow faster and feel more confident. I've made thousands of mistakes in English. Each one taught me something. Now, I almost welcome mistakes because I know they're helping me improve. Step 8. Find a safe practice space. Confidence grows in safe environments. Find places where you can practice English without judgment. This could be a language exchange partner who is also learning. This could be an online community of learners. This could be a supportive teacher or friend. In these safe spaces, you can experiment, make mistakes, and build confidence without fear of harsh judgment. Let me say this again. Practice in safe spaces first. Build confidence there. Then transfer that confidence to more challenging situations. Now that we've covered practical steps for English confidence, let's talk about how this confidence transforms your entire life. Part 4. How English confidence builds life confidence. Here's something amazing: when you build confidence in English, you don't just improve your language skills. You transform yourself. You become a more confident person in every area of life. Let me say this again. English confidence creates life confidence. Let me explain why this happens. Reason 1. You overcome fear. Learning to speak English despite fear teaches you a crucial life skill: courage. When you practice speaking even though you're nervous, you're training yourself to act despite discomfort. This skill transfers to everything. Job interviews become easier. Meeting new people becomes easier. Trying new things becomes easier. You learn that fear is not a stop sign. Fear is just a feeling. You can feel fear and still move forward. This is very important. The courage you build in English creates courage in life. I've seen this with countless students. They start by becoming confident in English. Then suddenly, they're more confident at work. They speak up in meetings. They apply for promotions. They pursue opportunities they previously avoided. Reason 2. You develop resilience. Learning English requires persistence. You face challenges. You make mistakes. You feel frustrated, but you keep going. This builds resilience. Resilience means you can handle difficulties. You can fail and get back up. You can struggle and keep trying. This resilience changes your entire approach to life. Challenges become less scary. Setbacks become less devastating. You know you can handle difficulty because you've done it before. Let me say this again. English teaches you resilience, and resilience changes your life. Reason 3: you expand your identity. When you start speaking English confidently, you see yourself differently. You're no longer just someone who studies English. You're someone who speaks English. You're someone who communicates across cultures. You're someone who can do difficult things. This expanded identity affects everything. You start believing, if I can learn English, what else can I do? You start attempting things you previously thought impossible. This is very important. Your identity shapes your possibilities. When your identity expands, your life expands. I've met people who learned English and then started businesses. They traveled to new countries. They changed careers. They made international friends. English opened doors, but their expanded sense of self walked through those doors. Reason 4: you learn the power of practice. Becoming confident in English teaches you that consistent practice creates results. You see that small daily actions compound into big changes. This understanding transforms how you approach everything. Want to get fit? Practice consistently. Want to learn a new skill? Practice consistently. Want to improve any area of life? Practice consistently. Let me say this again. English teaches you the power of consistent practice, and this knowledge applies to everything. Reason 5: you connect with more people. When you speak English confidently, you connect with people from all over the world. These connections enrich your life in countless ways. You gain new perspectives. You make meaningful friendships. You access opportunities. You broaden your worldview. These connections don't just improve your English. They improve who you are as a person. They make you more open-minded, more empathetic, more culturally aware. This is very important. English confidence creates human connections, and human connections create a richer life. The ripple effect. All of these changes create a ripple effect. Confidence in one area spreads to other areas. Success in English creates success elsewhere. Growth as a language learner creates growth as a human being. Let me say this again. When you transform your English confidence, you transform your life. So don't think of learning English as just acquiring a skill. Think of it as becoming a more confident, capable, resilient person. Think of it as personal development. Think of it as life transformation. All right, everyone, we've covered so much today. Let's bring it all together. We talked about why we lack confidence in English. We talked about fear of mistakes, comparison, perfectionism, past experiences, and unrealistic standards. We talked about what confidence really is. Confidence isn't the absence of fear. Confidence is action despite fear. Confidence is self-compassion plus courage. We talked about practical steps to build confidence. Start with small wins. Prepare core phrases. Practice self-compassion. Focus on communication, not perfection. Celebrate every attempt. Use the 3-second rule. Reframe mistakes as learning. Find safe practice spaces. And we talked about how English confidence creates life confidence. It teaches courage, builds resilience, expands identity, shows the power of practice, and creates meaningful connections. This is very important. Everything we discussed today requires one thing from you: action. You can watch this video and feel inspired, but if you don't take action, nothing changes. Confidence comes from doing, not from knowing. Let me say this again. You must practice. You must try. You must speak. You must be willing to make mistakes and learn from them. Here's my challenge for you this week: speak English at least once every day. It doesn't matter how small. Order something in English. Comment on an English video. Send a message to a language partner. Say something out loud even if no one is listening. Just speak. Every day. That's how confidence grows. Remember, you don't need perfect English to start speaking. You need courage. You need self-compassion. You need willingness to try. You are capable of this. You are strong enough. You are good enough right now, exactly as you are. Your accent is okay. Your mistakes are okay. Your current level is okay. You are okay. This is very important. Believe in yourself. Be kind to yourself. Trust the process. Learning English and becoming confident is a journey, not a destination. Enjoy the journey. Celebrate small progress. Be patient with yourself. Every confident English speaker was once where you are now. They felt scared. They made mistakes. They doubted themselves. But they kept going. And now they're confident. You can do this too. I believe in you. Thank you so much for watching this video. If it helped you, please like and subscribe. Share it with someone who needs this message. Leave a comment telling me what's one small step you'll take this week to build your English confidence. Remember, you've got this. Start speaking. Start trying. Start building confidence today. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, be brave, be kind to yourself, and keep growing. Take care, everyone.